Good evening. My name is Brianna Lee, and this is my presentation on our impressions of the Impressionists. I would like to start this off by asking, why do you think that most people tend to give misleading impressions of themselves? Um, but specifically, I'm wanting to emphasize a few artists during the Impressionist movement and how they used art to emphasize and glorify the better parts of their lives, which helped maintain their social status. I first started looking into these specific artists at this specific time period because of my class, Arts and Humanities. Um, when I looked at their arts and compared it to their more chaotic and extreme lives, I noticed that it didn't really match up. So I wondered if this was a form of a defense mechanism against society. Starting off strong with Bertha. She was a wealthy and talented woman. She had plenty of opportunities in life. The problem was that if she ever did something seen as wrong by the public, that could very easily be taken away at any time. It's not just through her art, like if she did something scandalous, but more like if she said the wrong thing at any time period. She was born in France to a rich family that supported her. She received an advanced education from Jean-Baptiste Camille Corot, primarily learning plein air painting at this time period. She only really learned from him because he was her tutor, because women couldn't get into the art colleges back then. Art critics tended to focus on her more feminine qualities through the art, but her style was seen as mature, and she through a couple of her pieces, you could see the thicker brush strokes and then the paint applications, specifically through the cage. She actually gave herself an extremely limited color palette, which I believe helped expand her reputation in a positive light towards other artists. In 1864, Bertha started to show her works in the Paris Salon, which consecutively throughout her life continued to show. In 1860, she met Edouard Manet, developing a long-lasting professional relationship. Eva Gonzalez was also born in France to a affluent family, which allowed her to receive a higher artistic education from Charles Joshua Chaplin, and later on Manet, a staple of his time period. She couldn't really join an art school either, so she had to have a tutor. In 1862, she created two pieces that were rejected by the Paris Salon but gained outside attention, this one being one of them. She was known for her loose and free brushstrokes, but this one specifically was rejected because it was seen as scandalous by the public. I wonder why. In 1869, Eva met Edward, and they were noted to be very drawn together, Edouard Manet. At this point, you may have heard me mentioning a certain name a few times, Edouard Manet. He was the highlight of this time period. He was really the face of the entire movement because of his consistent style. His art is generally very beautiful. It tended to highlight certain aspects of his life, the best parts, which didn't necessarily line up with the rest of it, to say nicely. This is his wife, Suzanne Manet. He met his wife at the age of 17 in his own home because she was his brother's piano teacher. But he did end up showing that he had a very affectionate relationship with his wife later on, because he did end up painting her 13 times throughout his life. But he also painted Bertha 12 times. Manet was a well-known flirt, even towards his pupils, Eva and Bertha. They have been shown to be, like, at the very least attracted to him through letters towards, like, family members and friends. Specifically, like I said, with Bertha being painted 12 times, Bertha wrote a letter about being attracted to him. She later married Edward's brother, which I suspect because she couldn't get the real thing. And later burned all of her letters with Manet directly after the marriage. Later in life, Edward ended up dying from syphilis. We can't really confirm if any of the other women that I've talked about today were the reason as to why he got it. Those were the main examples, but he has been theorized to have gone with other women. But we wouldn't be able to tell because women's health during this time period wasn't exactly exemplary. So many of their conditions would have went unnoticed anyways. Bertha and Eva are two examples of women that had to cover up their more chaotic lives with lovely paintings, while Manet can allow himself to be a bit more free. Even through his art, one of his paintings called Les Suicide shows a dead man, and yet he wasn't shamed or even rejected from the salon, unlike Eva, who was rejected many times for barely showing the human body. These women were given fantastic opportunities throughout their lives, and they took it. But they just had to hide the majority of their actual lives to maintain it. My problem is, I don't know if I would be able to choose that path. Would you?